So we are applying a base coat of light avocado plus all-purpose sealer. So all-purpose sealer plus light avocado, and we are applying this with a sponge roller. And we're gonna let this dry, and then we are going to sand it. Nothing in there. We're going to sand it and apply another coat of light avocado. So far my piece has 2 coats of the light avocado, and the first one was given with some of the multi-purpose sealer. So now we are going to do our background, and I am using a 1-inch oval brush or filbert brush, and I'm going to use this wonderful product called Dry Time Extender, and I'm going to apply this on my paints and on my piece. This is Dry Time Extender. So I'm going to put a generous amount of Dry Time Extender on my piece. Normally I do not do these backgrounds with any medium, but I have been doing this for many years and have a lot of experience, but I think for beginners it is easier if they have some media to help them keep the paints wet longer. So I am first starting with the light avocado, and this wet paint is gonna help me blend. I'm gonna use darker colors, Plantation Pine, and I forgot to put those in my palette. Plantation Pine, not coming out of the bottle, and Midnight Green. Those are gonna be my dark colors. So this is Plantation Pine and Midnight Green, and I am making sections darker on this wet background. You have to have some light avocado so it is wet and it blends. So some Plantation Pine and Midnight Green. Plantation Pine and Midnight Green. And I'm doing excess. Then I'm gonna take some Tangelo Orange, and that's a very strong color. I'm gonna blend that with Calico Red and Tangelo Orange and light avocado. Tangelo and Calico Red. So Calico Red, light avocado, and that's a tiny bit of the Midnight Green. Let's make some lighter green And this is Irish moss. And a tiny bit of the spicy mustard. Then that with light avocado. Starting to drag, so it's getting to that point where I have to stop, but I want to add another color, which is honey brown in here. And now this midnight green. Midnight green. Trying to make sure that you don't have any raised edges. And if you go with your brush like this, you can level down any raised edges. I'm gonna put a tiny bit more of the plantation pine in there. And the plantation pine plus the midnight green. Let's put a tiny bit more of the midnight green. I don't want to lose the darks. Okay, so once you like what you have, you stop and then you let it dry. If you want to be sure that you have it in the right place, what you're gonna do is you can put this on top and then you can check that you have it in the right place. Also, make sure you check the coloring that you have so that you check what colors are gonna show because I want to show some of the reds that I put on the background. I don't want to cover them with the design. So this is where I'm going to put mine, and I'm going to trace, and I will be right back. So we're going to start with this little bird in here, and we're going to use a liner and black paint, and we're going to paint his cute little eye. And we're going to let that black paint dry before we continue. Now, his feathers have a color that I was not able to find. So I decided that I'm going to mix the color. So the color that I'm looking is a gray color, but it has a lot of pinky tones. So I decided I'm gonna bring the colors from the leaf into his feathers. So I was gonna use for the leaves this coral shell color, so I'm gonna put this color also on his body. So I'm putting coral shell, I'm putting lime mocha and black, I'm gonna mix those colors and see what I get. I don't have instructions for this project, so I am inventing as we go. It's the same way I do all of my pieces. I don't have any instruction. I just take the piece and start painting it. I'm gonna use this number 4. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna blend. You see, I put some black, and I put some black and some of this color, which is the coral shell. And a tiny bit of the light mocha. Let's see. I'm gonna check the color, and it is the color that I want. So I'm going to start by putting these feathers in here. And the way I do birds is in a lot of stages, and sometimes you can pick more of the black and make it darker. So birds, my birds are done in several stages. So this is only the ugly stage, how I call it. Yeah, there's an ugly stage and a pretty stage. And let's put it in here. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna finish with that eye and that beak before I continue. So I'm just gonna put this color on the top, and then I'm gonna go to the beak and to the eye. I'm going on top of my graphite lines. And I have to tell you, the way I work with acrylics is not what normally people do with acrylics. and it's not the way I learned. This is a technique that I have developed over the years. I like my acrylics to look more realistic. So I like to have different values, and I thought that doing it this way, you put more value and more character into your pieces. And let me explain to you what normally they do is they put a base coat of color. See, I add a tiny bit more of black in there. So sometimes you pick more black and then you can have some more shading. So I'm taking a tiny bit more of black in here. So, and it's going to be lighter in here, so take more of the light mocha and of the mocha. I mean quarter shell light mocha and black, and put it a tiny more lighter in here. And as you pick up the black, with this color, you can blend it. Okay, so let's leave that part like this for now. And we're gonna finish the eye and the beak, and then we can continue. So I'm gonna put burlap on this in here. I'm gonna put a tiny bit of the coral shell with that burlap. So coral shell and burlap. And then we're gonna take our liner with coral shell, black, and dirty brush, and we're gonna break these. Maybe we need a tiny bit more of the black. Let's go with that black and paint around here with the black. Oopsie daisy. So we are gonna take the black and paint around that section. Dirty brush and black. Let's take that burlap. I'm gonna take pure black and do a second coat of the black on the eye. Gonna take that light mocha and highlight the eye. Strong highlight. Then I'm gonna take the burlap and put a secondary I think I'm gonna make that highlight smaller with the black. Well, this is black. Take a tiny bit of black with the quarter shell. Black. Take quarter shell. Brush needs a tiny bit of water. Quarter shell. Maybe we'll do it with a darker color later. So let's paint the beak. I think I'm going to make that line that is around the pupil smaller. Black. Is black. Need to have a tiny bit more water with that black. Okay, so let's put a tiny bit of black in here too. So we're going to let this dry and work on the beak. So the top part of the beak is lighter, so I'm gonna go with light mocha. And light mocha, and then I'm gonna go to the coral shell. Looking for it. I'm gonna put in my palette some burnt sienna and some of the red that we put in the background, the calico red, and I will be right back. Okay, so coral shell and calico red, and let's make a pinkish tone. And I'm gonna wipe my brush, clean my brush, remove the water, and go to the coral shell. And go to the liner, and I'm gonna use burnt sienna. And the black plus the coral shell. More of the black in the center. I'm gonna blend with a tiny bit of the light mocha in there. Burnt sienna. Burnt sienna black and burlap. Tiny bit of black. Okay, that was not good. That was, let's put a tiny bit of the coral shell. And we need to clean the brush so we can put clean coral shell in there. Somehow that peak grew. I'm gonna take black and the best thing to do, and this is learning tool that I can show you. the best thing to do when you're unsure about something is to take your pattern and go over with the pattern, and I'm gonna check that. I'm gonna check the beak with the pattern and I will be right back. The beak is fine, it just needs some highlights, and I'm highlighting with the light mocha in here. I'm trying to use the same color so that I don't have to bring more colors. This is light mocha in there and there. And now I'm gonna do a float of the calico red. Very tiny float on the lower section. Remove some with the finger. That is not that colorful. And I'm going to start building with the burlap, the feathers in here with the burlap and the number 4 brush. Like I was using the wrong brush, and I was. So I'm using the number 4. Let's add a tiny bit of the black to that burlap and make it a tiny bit darker. So burlap plus black. Let's see here. So burlap plus black. And you know what? Gonna add a tiny bit of the calico red and coral shell in there. Using that same color to put it in here. I'm going to clean my brush. Okay, let's go to burlap alone. Seems to be that is a tiny bit transparent, the burlap alone. If it's transparent, just go put a second coat and take a tiny bit of black and coral shell and light mocha so that you can blend these two colors in here. Add more of the black. Let's use some of this dark color in here. Okay, so I am continuing with the burlap. And this is only the first stage of this tiny bird. Okay, let's take a liner. Whoopsie daisy. And we are going to take black and we're going to put it in all the lines that we have in here. First we have this section of black in here that we can fill in. Let's take the number 4 or maybe the 6 and fill in this section with the black. And then we're going to take a liner and put black on all those lines. That. The one next to that is lighter, so we're gonna take burlap with a tiny bit of coral shell and a tiny bit of black, and we're gonna put it there. Over the graphite line. Then this other one, put too much. Let's clean that with the black. like that. Black. So it's black in between the graphite lines. And then you can put that, make sure that we just mixed of the coral shell and the burlap and the black over those graphite lines. And you do the same on the top. This is the black. Let's take some of that coral shell. Need a color that is not as let's see. Let's try melon. Let's put some melon in here. And we're gonna put melon in there. And we're gonna also put melon in here. And then little shell in here. Let's see, let's try a tiny bit of the tan yellow orange with that coral shell in there. Let's take burlap. And light mocha. Oops, that was too much in the brush. So I'm wiping the brush. So that I can highlight in here. If you have too much, like I do, wipe the brush and remove the excess, and then you can do this better. Light mocha. Notice that I have not used white. Leaving white in case I need to have a stronger highlight. And this is still at the ugly stage. Let's take light mocha plus that melon, and then in there and while that is wet, you can add more melon. Add some of that burlap plus black. Plus melon. And shade a tiny bit in there. And in here. These are the light mocha. The second stage of the bird is making lines. So you need fresh paint and you need a liner, and you're gonna make lines. I'm gonna find black. I'm gonna put black on my palette. So black plus mocha lines. This is our second stage, and we're gonna do lots of lines. Lots of lines. And we're gonna use light colors first and then dark colors. If you put too much paint, you can blot it. So black plus mocha. If it is too strong, just blot it with your hand. That's too strong. Then the ones that are at the top, they go this way. It's probably too strong too. Too light, maybe you can go to black and make some darker. Okay, I'm taking more black and making some darker. We're just making lines with the liner. And let's take even more black. Blend these ones in here. I'm gonna go away so that we don't get out of camera. This a tiny bit more black in here. So light mocha and black. We're gonna take mocha with our dirty brush and start making short mocha lines. Dirty brush, so a tiny bit more mocha. Coral shell, not mocha, sorry, coral shell. Let's put some in here in the head. Some in here. So coral shell. Let's take some coral shell down here. Take a tiny bit more of the coral shell in here. Coral shell. Coral shell. Your brush gets dry, you have to stop. Get on the coral shell. I'm going to bring now some of the gray to blend. So coral shell and black is the gray. And now let's take a tiny bit black. like to go back and forth between the flat brush and the liner. So I'm going to go back to the flat brush. I don't want it to look too liney, too much lines. So that's my preference. I always go back and forth between the two. Start shading with a tiny bit more of black in here. In here in the back. Tiny bit of shading in here. Let's bring that shading also in here. And in here. That was too much of the black. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to highlight again with the light mocha. In some areas. Still have to put the lines also in here. Let's highlight a tiny bit with also with the coral shell, melon. Melon in here. Melon plus black. Oops, too much black. melon plus a tiny bit of black in here. Melon plus a tiny bit of black. Okay, let's take a liner and light mocha. A liner and burlap. And a liner and melon. Burlap and melon. Take a tiny bit of black with that melon and burlap. So this is white. Some areas, only some areas will have the white. highlight of white in the beak in here. Put a highlight in the eye. And tiny bit in here. Tiny bit in here. Can you see the difference when you do not use white from the beginning? Then you can use white to have strong highlights in some areas. I'm going to use also the number 4 to add some of this white. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop now because then I don't want to overdo it. And I'm gonna work a tiny bit on that tail. Before I go to the tail, I want to take white and a small amount of the melon. And add some lighter feathers in there. Let's put it in here too. Okay. Let's take some melon. Liner and let's take the liner and light mocha. melon. Lime mocha. I think I'm gonna use the four. Melon and lime mocha and melon. Melon. It's melon. Let's do some lines of the melon. I just got this melon, but it's seeing that it's not good. That's too bad because I just got it. Let's put a tiny bit of light mocha with the melon. And then let's take burlap and black. I am using melon plus coral shell to base coat the legs. So do that and we'll be right back. We don't want to lose the fingers, so try to leave a, so I'm just gonna put it in the back part. And while this is wet, I'm gonna take black with the coral shell and shade in the back. and then even more black. Colored shell, melon. Melon and black. I'm just gonna take a tiny bit of that calico red with my melon. Calico red with my melon. Let's take melon plus black plus light mocha, and we can use that to base coat the remainder using a liner. What I'm gonna do, I don't want to lose the sections, so I'm going to shade in between with a tiny bit of black. See that in here. My pens are drying too fast, so I'm adding a tiny bit of black so that I can shade under, in between and underneath. Then coral melon plus black. Let's highlight with, gonna highlight with light mocha, which is what I'm using instead of white at the beginning. That was too much. Then let's blend that burlap plus black. Melon plus black. Try to blend this in here. let's see. Gonna start with the black plus the melon. And now that they're separated, I'm gonna do it one at a time so that I can blend the highlight wet on wet. Because if I need a base coat, so now I have the base coat, now I can go one by one and blend that highlight. Let's say the black plus tiny bit of coral shell. And we forgot this one in here. It's another one in here. And I forgot that one. So let's start with the dark section. And add the highlight with the light mocha. I run out of light mocha. I'm just gonna use burlap and white. And shade with black. The melon plus the calico red and retint this in here. Just put a tiny bit of tint also on these ones. I like that line that has in there, so I'm just going to blend it with the gray. Tint it with the melon. bring some of that melon plus calico red. Gave some time for this to dry, and now I'm gonna take a tiny bit of black plus coral shell and I'm gonna make a gray color, and I'm gonna float a tiny bit of gray in here, and I'm gonna use that same gray to float in here, in there, and tiny bit more of black, and make it darker and float in here. Watching here and there, just gonna put some lines in here with lime mocha plus black. Try to transition a tiny bit better this. And then take some of the lime mocha. And sometimes some of the white. Okay, so we are going to give this a coat of the bright salmon. I'm gonna base coat the leaf with the bright salmon, and then we're gonna paint on top of this. I think this is better if we do it this way. So we're going to give it a coat of bright salmon, and we'll be right back when we have finished giving it one coat of bright salmon. And bright salmon is a new color. So at least one coat of the bright salmon. And let's see if we can do it by steps. So let's do this one, and we're gonna put burnt sienna in this corner, and then we're gonna put melon plus bright salmon, coral shell plus melon, wipe the brush, take some of the russet, and notice that I went over the the line in there. I'm gonna put it later. This is coral shell. By Salmon. This brush is probably too big. Let's move to another brush, a smaller brush, the number 4. Let's highlight with coral shell in here. Wipe the brush and go around, tickle it with the salmon in there. Let's also highlight coral shell in this section, and I'm going to wipe my brush and tickle it with the bright salmon. I think I'm gonna do that again one more time with the coral shell and tickle it with the bright salmon. Let me see, I'm gonna put a tiny bit of rosette in here and rosette in here, and tickle that with the bright salmon before it dries. If you don't do it too fast, it dries on you. Tickle it with the bright salmon, coral shell and bright salmon. Okay, then rosette. Let's see it. Rosette in here. Let's take a tiny bit of the red, the calico red, and let's put blend that with bright salmon. Calico red and sienna brown. And bright salmon and coral shell. Okay, let's move on to another section. This section in here is, let's put the bright salmon, and again I am ignoring the vein lines because if I don't, it's gonna be harder, I think. We can paint the vein lines on top of this. I'm starting with a coat of the bright salmon, and I'm gonna do this section in here, let it dry a tiny bit, and then I can highlight and shade like I did in here. So I'm gonna base coat and I will be right back. And then leave a tiny bit more orange. So I'm gonna put tiny bit of the Tangelo orange on top of this. Then with the Tangelo orange and the rice salmon. Okay, so we're putting bright salmon and a tiny bit of Tangelo orange in here, and we're gonna finish putting this base coat and we'll be right back. Okay, let's highlight this one, and we're gonna go with Color Shell plus bright salmon, and we're gonna start with that. Wipe the brush and then take a tiny bit more of the bright salmon. Before it dries, you have to do it fast and in stages. Okay, let's go again and highlight with the Color Shell. And let's go again and go around with the bright salmon before it dries. Coral Shell. Bright salmon. You have to do this fast or it starts drying. The best thing to do is a small section at a time and not big sections like I am doing now. I'm trying to be fast. Okay, rice salmon. Bright salmon. We can take a tiny bit of rosette in this area and maybe a tiny bit of the calico red. and bright salmon. Gonna leave that section to dry, then we can play more. This is bright salmon. Put a tiny bit of the coral shell in here. Let's take some of the burnt sienna. Burnt sienna and calico red. Oops, too much calico red. Bright salmon and burnt sienna. Let's take bright salmon. And coral shell. Okay, let's continue to this other one. Okay, this is bright salmon in here. And burnt sienna. Bright salmon. And coral shell. Bright salmon. Coral shell. Burnt sienna. Okay, let's continue with this section, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start base coating it with bright salmon, and I will be right back. Okay. And now I'm going to start shading and highlighting. First stage at least. Melon plus burnt sienna on this lower section. And you know, this is only the first stage. We're gonna do a lot more to this leaf. We're not gonna leave it this way, so plain looking. Okay, then you can put a tiny bit of the calico red also in here with the burnt sienna. And blend that in there. Has stuck into red, so I'm gonna go with the melon and blend it. It takes a tiny bit of rosette. And rosette is probably too dark, so let's go again to the melon. Let's go to coral shell. There's a big highlighting here. Oops, that was too much paint. Coral shell in there and in here. Let's blend with the melon. And melon. Coral shell again. Melon. And that was burnt sienna. Melon plus coral shell. And coral shell. Coral shell. Sometimes you need, if you need to add some of the extender, it helps with the blending. Coral shell. And melon. I don't want to overdo. This is rosette and burnt sienna and tangelo orange and the melon. And let's put that color also in here and in here. in here. That dark color. We can put it also in here. Start with the melon. And then we can start putting highlights of the coral shell. And then with the melon. Burnt sienna. And blend with the melon. Extend that coral shell. Tiny bit of extender in here, and I want to extend this coral shell. Let's put coral shell plus a tiny bit of Tangelo orange in here. If you have extender, it helps a tiny bit if you have extender. This is a coral shell, and I think that was melon and coral shell. This one is very light in here. This is a coral shell. Coral shell. Coral shell. Okay, this is the coral shell. In here. And in here. Tiny bit more of the coral shell in here. Melon. It's clean so that we can put the melon. Melon and burnt sienna. Let's put a tiny bit of the extender in here. And a tiny bit of the coral shell. And the extender and the coral shell. Let's blend with the rice melon. I could put a tiny bit of tangelo with the melon. And burnt sienna. I think I'm going to run out of melon. Extender in here. And then put some of the coral shell with the melon. And some more of the coral shell. Oops, that was too much. Take the excess with a brush. Wipe it on the paper towel, and then you can see orange and tiny bit of burnt sienna in here to blend this in here. Let's put a tiny bit of the coral shell in here. And we have to continue it on the other side. Let's see, burnt sienna, melon. Let's blend that melon in there, coral shell in there. Let's see, we need a tiny bit of orange plus coral shell plus orange. Let's make this a tiny bit more orangey. And then we can put a tiny bit of the coral shell. And blend with the bright salmon. Every time that you clean the brush, you have to wipe it. You have to remove all the water. I'm going to put a tiny bit of burnt sienna in here. Let's put some of the coral shell. Okay, I'm gonna put another coat of the coral shell plus burnt sienna, maybe a tiny bit of the calico red in here. And then we can reshade and highlight. Let's put a tiny bit more of burnt sienna in this side. And on the bottom. And on this section in here. Then with that in there was a tiny bit of coral shell. We don't want to lose the coral shell that we put in there. And in here. Okay, blend them with the, that was burnt sienna. Wipe and go to the coral shell. Coral shell. And coral shell. Just bright salmon. Let's put a tiny bit of bright salmon in here. Burnt sienna. Everything is starting to grab. The paint is getting dry, so this is the last thing that I'm gonna do in here. Blending with the bright salmon. See, the paints are starting to grab. To dry on my palette, burnt sienna. It's only the base coat. We're gonna do more on this. So I'm just gonna leave it like this for our base coat. So this tiny leaf in there is gonna be mixed with burlap, Irish moss, burlap, tiny bit of spicy mustard, and light avocado. All those four colors are gonna make the base coat of this tiny thing in there. And I think it has to have more of the spice. Yeah, mustard. Of the spicy mustard. So I'm gonna base coat that small leaf in there, and we'll be right back. One more thing that I wanna base coat is this small section in here with burlap. And I'm gonna stop for the day, and we'll continue this tomorrow. So I am applying my paint line, and I'm using rosettes for the light sections and burnt sienna for the light sections and rosette for the dark sections. This is a dark section, so I use rosette. And then for the light section like this one, I'm gonna use burnt sienna. So painting the paint lines with rosette on the dark sections and burnt sienna on the light sections. I apply the pattern again to make it easier. You can do that, or you can also do them without applying the pattern. It's your preference. So you can use rosette or burnt sienna, depending what showing in the area. For example, this area is very dark, so I'm gonna use burnt sienna in there. Rosette in there. Oops, that was too much. You go right away with a brush and water, and you clean it. Just gonna remove it completely. Okay, I'm gonna leave you doing that, and we'll be right back. Another stage that we're gonna do in here, but for this we're gonna use some of that dark time extender I'm gonna put some dry time extender on the leaf, and I'm gonna add some imperfections. You remember that we put up some burlap in here. I'm gonna put another one of burlap, another imperfection of burlap, and we are going to have some imperfections. See, for example, there's another burlap in there, and I'm going to take a tiny bit of that extender and blending. Then I'm gonna take burlap and put a tiny bit of burlap in here. And the same in here. Then I'm gonna take soft black, oopsie daisy. I'm going to put some extender in here, and I'm gonna take soft black and shade this with soft black, maybe a tiny bit of the burlap with the soft black. Like that. And then I'm gonna take a tiny bit of the oyster, it was light mocha, it was the light color that we use. Putting light mocha on my palette. Okay, I'm gonna put a tiny bit of extender in here. And then I'm going to highlight with light mocha. Gonna wipe my brush, remove the water, and blend the edges. Or you can have a clean brush to do that. I'm gonna use that light mocha also to highlight this edge in here. And also this edge in here. Let's also put some in here. See, this is the foam part. Okay, let's put some extender in here. It's so nice to play with the extender. And some light mocha. And what you do is you clean your brush. You remove all that light mocha. It seems to have two paint lines in here, so I'm just gonna put them with the burnt sienna. burnt sienna. It's a tiny vein showing in here. Burnt sienna. Okay, let's see. Let's put a tiny bit of soft black in here. Soft black plus the burlap. And let's shade these in here. Maybe a tiny bit more of the soft black. Now another thing that you're going to be doing, and there's another imperfection with the burlap in here, and take soft black while that is wet, and you can play with it while it is wet. Take a tiny bit of rosette in there. Tiny bit of burnt sienna on this one. So now that it's dry, we're gonna take the extender and we are gonna put the extender everywhere on the leaf, and we're gonna add more imperfections, and these imperfections are gonna be added with the burnt sienna, and you're just gonna put dots of burnt sienna, and sometimes they can be dots, sometimes they can be squiggly lines, and you're gonna put that all over the leaf. And I'm just showing you this section only, but you're gonna put it all over the leaf. Okay, so that's what you're gonna do now. When you get to the light area, you don't want to lose all those highlights, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a small amount of coral shell with the burnt sienna to make a lighter version of the dots. So coral shell plus burnt sienna. And coral shell in my palette, and I'm gonna put some extender and blending in here. And if your dots are too dark, you can, since it has extender and blending, you can touch it, or you can remove it with the extender and blending that you put in there. So I'm putting extender and blending in here, which is lighter, and I'm gonna make a mixture of the coral shell with the burnt sienna. And put dots that are not as dark as the others. Though that is in the light areas, because you don't want to lose all the highlights, but then when you get to the darker areas, you can just put the burnt sienna. So enjoy putting your dots, and I don't have to show you all that on camera. If you cannot see them, you can put some with the rosette. You can have some that are darker, some that are lighter, and have fun putting them. I'm just going to re-highlight a little bit more. So starting with the extender, and I'm gonna use a tiny bit of the light mocha in there, and I'm gonna blend with the coral shell. Then I want to have some melon. Not melon, bright salmon. Bright salmon. Fried salmon. Oops. With the coral shell. Blend that with the coral shell in there. And light mocha. Very strong highlight. Let's put a strong highlight in here too. I'll take a tiny bit of the burnt sienna with the coral shell. Gonna highlight also. Like pieces to be dramatic, so that's why I like to have strong darks and strong lights. This is coral shell, and I'm going to highlight this in here with coral shell, and in here. In here. This one in here. And one more with the coral shell plus bright salmon. In there. Let's put a tiny bit of in there, and let's put a tiny bit of this color in here. Coral shell plus bright salmon. I think I'm gonna leave it the way it is. Put coral shell in here. Let's put it also on this tiny one in here. And let's put it in here. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it like this. Even though the original has more things, you don't want to complicate things so much. This is coral shell. Okay, so we're gonna leave it like this, and we're gonna move on to this other one. And okay, so extender, and I'm gonna shade with light avocado. I'm gonna highlight with the spicy mustard. And I am going to tint with the Irish moss. Tiny bit. I am going to tint also with burnt sienna. Oops, that was too much. Let's blend with the Irish moss plus burlap plus the spice mustard plus light avocado. I think that was the color originally in there. Tiny bit more of the highlight of the spice mustard, maybe with a tiny bit of lime mocha. That was probably too much of the lime mocha. Then with the spice mustard, light avocado, and burlap. Irish moss. And spicy mustard. Tiny bit of burnt sienna. Okay, so these are the colors for the trunks, and we have light mocha. Then we have burlap. We have soft black. Then we have coral shell. We have the quartz new color bright salmon. Pretty color. And burnt sienna. Okay, these are gonna be the colors for the trunk. And using the same brushes. If you see it's a cylinder, let's start with the soft blacking here. And immediately take burlap and blend in there with burlap. And then we can take coral shell and highlight a tiny bit in here with coral shell. And I think I'm gonna look for a mop, and I will be right back. Okay, I have a dumb round brush, and I'm just gonna pounce it, and it dried on me while I was looking for this brush, so I'm just gonna reapply it. The coral shell in there. And I'm just gonna use the mop round to put it. Let's see, I'm going to take some of that bright salmon. Sometimes the hand is easier to take the hand, and this is soft black and burlap and blend in there. Okay. Then we're gonna take a liner and lime mocha with burlap, coral shell, and a tiny bit of soft black. Gonna base this ring around with a lighter color, and then I'm gonna come back. Now let's just do it in here. Okay, so I go with at the same time is still wet. I'm taking some of the bright salmon. Let's take some of the soft black and put it in the middle. And I'm gonna take soft black, and I'm gonna put soft black on the other edge, in this edge. I'm gonna take a brush that soft black in the edge, and I'm gonna blend with the burlap at the top. And you remember that I told you it was a cylinder, so see the movement that I am giving to my brush. I'm gonna give the same movement on the other side with the soft black. That was burlap, and this is soft black. And we are going to mix those two in there. Going over my graphite lines. So burlap at the top and soft black at the bottom, and keep doing this all the way down. It's more that we're gonna do to this trunk, but at the beginning we want to have a base coat. Be careful with the legs. Careful with the legs. I have the air condition on and it's drying faster than normal. It's very hot here in Florida. It's summertime. Okay, I think I'm going to finish the section left outside of camera and we'll be right back. So the first section of that trunk has been base coated. I still need more, but we're going to do that later. Let's base coat the rim that is left in here, and we need some soft black for this section in here. And then I'm gonna take soft black plus burlap. And base coat that. Soft black. Plus burlap. And take soft black. And I am going to take a liner with coral shell plus burlap plus a tiny bit of soft black. Let's take some of the burlap floss lime mocha. Anyway, we have to highlight and shade, and we'll do that later. Let's take some soft black and divide this in here. And let's finish base coating the remainder of the trunk with the same colors. And I'm gonna show you a small section. We're not gonna do them all in camera because it's a lot. and then we're gonna show you how to tint and highlight. So we're gonna use sometimes burlap plus soft black, and sometimes we use a tiny bit more of the to make it easier. To make this easier, this is what we're gonna do. Base coat everything with soft black plus burlap, all the remainder trunks, and then we're going to take, for example, burnt sienna, and tint some with burnt sienna, tint some with other colors, and highlight. So just for a starting point, let's just base coat the entire trunks that are left with burlap plus soft black. And I'm gonna do that outside of camera. And I'm gonna return when I have finished with them. Okay, at this point I erased all the graphite lines. So go ahead and erase all the graphite lines around the design. You don't need those anymore. So you don't have any graphite lines. If you happen to see anything in the background, you can play with the background a tiny bit more. So for example, I don't know what's in there, so I'm just going to take a tiny bit of the light avocado, and probably light avocado is probably too light because it seems that it has in there some of the black midnight blue or plantation pine. I'm able to open this midnight blue. Okay, so for example, there's two dots in there. I don't know what happened with those two dots. I'm trying to cover them with light avocado. And what you can do is you can put a tiny bit of extender. And then you can play with the light avocado and midnight blue. Okay, so check your background and do that, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're gonna play with the trunk and all the trunks, and this is the extender. And we're gonna highlight with light mocha. Probably you can use a larger brush. So some areas, not everywhere, but some areas you can strengthen the light with the light mocha. I'm gonna mop that because I didn't like that it has more at the top. Another thing that you can do, you're gonna put dots with your liner of the peachy colors with where the bright salmon and coral shell. So you're gonna put a lot of dots of these colors. Oops. You're gonna also put dots of these soft black dots here and there, and squiggly lines and dots. Squiggly lines and dots of the soft black. You're gonna also put dots of the bright salmon. Here and there, and squiggly lines. And you're gonna do that on, this is gonna be done on everywhere. So everywhere you put dots and of the bright salmon, and everywhere you're gonna highlight with same colors, which is the light mocha. And you're gonna also put some dots of the coral shell. Some lighter dots of coral shell. So first you have to put some, to do this, you're gonna put some of the extender. And then you can highlight with the light mocha. Even forgot where I put the extender, but you're gonna highlight with the light mocha. And you're gonna put the dots, this is extender, and the highlight. And then you can take burnt sienna and tint some with burnt sienna. Like that. And you can highlight with coral shell too. And you can put dots of the soft black dots, dots of the burnt sienna, dots of the coral shell. So this is coral shell dots. And you know, I'm not gonna do all these in camera because it's very repetitive, and you have your picture if you want to imitate mine, but this is better if you don't imitate anybody. This is a coral shell, and if you do this without even thinking. This is, I'm gonna put a tiny bit of the light mocha and coral shell in here. So it is even better if you do this at random. At random. So I hope you like the class and join us for more classes.